starting off, I think there was a very clear picture in my mind of what I wanted the essence of our business to be and how we would reflect that in every last detail that made up the business. So I was aiming to achieve a real congruency through everything from the uniform to the interior design to the packaging design, and make all that fit together. And
I'm grabbing this opportunity to relook at our business and make sure that we start with the patient and then we use that design as the technique we're going to use to go right through the whole process.
It's taking off-the-shelf technology. We looked around and thought, this is practically available. It's stuff you can buy now. It's relatively cost-effective. We don't have to start back at the components and reinvent the technology. As soon as we put it in, we recognised it couldn't meet the requirements, so we had to redesign bits of it. And more importantly, redesign how we use it.
You can have the idea and for a business, but when it comes to actually marketing it, the design is going to be integral to reaching your clients and how you project your company's image and so on. So that
certainly from a design perspective, we have to have a very long frame of reference. We're about to actually place a pipe in Chapel Street, for instance, that's been in the ground for about 140 or 160 years. So tremendous foresight has to be in place for a lot of what we do. So design from that perspective is the backbone of much of what we undertake.
So when we start, we look at the package first. We look at how the package is labelled currently, the packaging and filling process for that package, and then how our label can be applied during that process. And if necessary, what modifications need to be made to our label to suit that process. Because for us, it's important that we make the least amount of impact on their existing production line.
Design definition we've applied to this has been in the broadest context. So design, everything that an engineer or scientist does has some element of design. And design being some creative input, some latitude in if you like, either presentation.
So in most businesses, I think you're not inventing something. You're putting your own flavour on something that has been done before. And chocolate is very much like that. I mean, it's infinite the amount of things that you can do with quality raw ingredients and how that all might come together. So I think the innovation is often very small things, whether that's improving a process that we're doing or the way, say, design might play a part in a product that we're developing.
Good design is going to mean that we'll actually gain efficiencies in our operating side. You know, in our finance department, in our IT department, in all those departments, because we'll actually have something. The redesign will force us to automate things, to use technology much more cleverly.
We work a lot from an R&D perspective. We work very closely with other water companies. We already collaborate. In fact, each of the Melbourne Water companies and Melbourne Water contribute $1 million a year to something called the Smart Water Fund, which encourages innovations and ideas from everybody. We get mum and dad people putting in ideas that they've got from.
In terms of design, the logo was everything, because everything came from it. The colour, how it was used, where it was used, and what we wanted to project.
Well, design is critical to innovation. I mean, without design, you won't have innovation. Design is part and parcel of innovation, as we see it.
Yeah. Initially, we did everything pretty much by hand, but we've actually incorporated now machinery that does things so much more efficiently for us. And one of those machines is a commercial scrubbing machine.
I mean, the word fit for purpose is about being innovative in the way that you implement this project. And so quite often we'll use contractors, we'll get someone casual in, we'll partner with another firm.
We do some in-house, and we outsource quite a lot to companies in Australia, but also in the United Kingdom. There seem to be a lot of, particularly industrial designers in the packaging business that are based in Europe or the UK, as opposed to.
The whole process we're piloting will change the way the doctor practices as well, and hopefully eliminate paperwork and stress for them as well, and actually mean they can spend more time actually talking to the patient.
Even the way that buildings are designed, there needs to be space, there needs to be places where people can go to do that sort of work. Certainly here at South East Water, we have a number of lounges, the brainwaves lounges we call them, where people can go to think. It's away from their desk where they can take some time.
If we're designing a new packaging item, we will order it in a small run and really test it with the customer and make sure that it's being received well before we go ahead and do a big run. There's been a few.
What we're doing is we asked the patients what it's like for them, and so we've got research on that, and whenever, and then as we're going through the process, as we have changes in the environment, I'm getting the calls to the patients diverted, so I'm talking to them as well.
But I'm always seeking feedback and trying to validate what an idea is, because often you really can be off on a tangent and losing your focus.
So the peer review process, I guess, is the best way we do it at the moment. If we've developed something, we have an independent organisation come in and review it. And they may come in at the start and be part of the process, the development process. We find both approaches have their particular applications. So.
We also have an internal focus group, if you like, we call the Customer Advisory Committee. So that's a group of our customers that come into the business on a quarterly basis, and they see all of our design material and comment on how it makes them feel, and whether or not they it's in line with the message that we're trying to project.
And we're working in collaboration with very large companies in the packaging business to redesign the label, in particular for a customer of ours, Coca-Cola.
From before we had a logo to the year that we've actually relaunched ourselves with the logo, and our branding is everywhere now on stationery, cards, advertising in the local paper and so on, is our turnover is greatly improved.
Building more and more of a green stamp on our product is important, so that's part of design as well.
Yeah.
Whether we can use completely recyclable materials or sustainable forest materials or materials that don't contaminate the recycling process is critical.
In fact, we're creating sort of basically open plan green offices, serviced offices, and every single thing in it has been specified and purchased and operated in accordance with, if you like, the most sustainable standards that we can find.
We try to use products that are water-based rather than solvents. That's our preference.
Yeah.
If the client specifically wants something else, we obviously will utilise it, but our preferred product is a water-based product.
Sustainability is something that's just a basic fundamental, I suppose, to our life here at South East Water. In fact, it's almost I suppose the cost of admission, I suppose, in a business like this. It's a ticket to play. If you don't have a focus on sustainability, then you're threatening your access to your own core product.
It's kind of like doing that now is almost like a building block. It's like it's an automatic thing rather than an optional thing. So I would just see that as fundamental.
Again, because of the European roots of the product, the norm is to import some of these ingredients from Europe. But as the local market matures, I think there is the opportunity to change certain things there too. So, for instance, at the moment, we for our raspberry puree, we use this European brand, which is really the standard for the industry, which is really just, in the case of the raspberry, it's 90% raspberries and 10% sugar. Now, what we want to do is go out and work with the local raspberry farm, create the product locally,